And finally, one of the biggest names in wrestling history sits down with Rick. They're true peers, true compadres. It's Stone Cold Steve Austin talking to Ric Flair about the time they spent together in WCW.
Wait, Steve, we were talking about last night. You know, there is so much that goes into your career. And, I mean, I go back, and I was thinking last night about talking about you and Steamboat and how great the matches were and how in Iowa one night Hogan and I had to go on after he and Steamboat went on. And, but then I go back to another incident that was great, too. We were in Norfolk, Virginia. It was me and Arn Anderson against you and who?
God dang it. You see, here's the thing, Rick. You remember more about my
Brian.
career than I do.
That's Brian Pillman.
Oh, Brian. Okay.
We tore it down, man.
Yeah.
And Arn and I didn't tag that much because he was basically Tully, but Tully had gone. And they put us on in Norfolk for about 30 minutes, man, and we tore the joint down.
I used to love that building in Norfolk.
Oh.
That was a good neck of the woods for pro wrestling.
Yeah.
And good times. And, man, I miss Brian to this day.
Oh, Jesus.
And because I never did really like I love to watch tag team wrestling because it can be so exciting when you have teams like, Arn and Tully, Arn and Ole, the Midnights, the Rock and Rolls.
Yeah.
And then, we got together as Hollywood Blondes and we established this chemistry. That's when I really fell in love with it.
Yeah.
But then, you always have the liability of relying on your partner to stay healthy.
Yeah.
And so I got smoked. I tore my arm up. And anyway, they split us up. But I got a lot of fond memories of Brian. But, man, Norfolk, those were back. That was back when, that old school wrestling it was bad. And, the buildings were about a half to three-quarters full. It wasn't like the territory was on fire, but it was one of the funnest times of my life because you were still running roughshod.
Yeah.
Arn was still in the ring. All the guys that I looked up to, and I was sharing the same life.
Well, you guys crashed a Flair for the Gold. And the deal, and it worked out great. The thing was, sometimes, and it's only I'm not even going to mention any names, but sometimes when something gets over so good, they just pull the cart from it. And that thing got over great when you and Brian came out, and we had one match, and then nobody got hurt that night. They didn't get hurt that night, but they just took the program away.
Yeah, it was what it was. But, I went on down the road and everything happened. It turned out okay.
No, it worked out great.
But, I mean, I was mad as a hornet because, first of all, when they were going to put us into it, right there in Dothan, Alabama, I was about to go on a singles run with Harley Race as my manager as a U.S. champion. All of a sudden, the rug got pulled out from under me, and then they put me and Brian together. We got that over, and then they yanked that out from under me. So I was like, man, I don't know the crap or wind my watch, WCW. But, again, it was what it was, and, I'm happy everything ended up like it did.
Yeah, I mean, you went down the road, and it's kind of like, I think about this too. Hunter came to me, and he goes, when Hunter was like 93, and you'd already taken off.
Yeah.
And Hunter goes, they offered him like $250,000 because he was Regal's partner, the Blue Bloods, whatever they were, and Vince called him, and I go, hey, it's $250,000. He said, it doesn't matter, which caused one of the biggest fights I've ever had with Randy Savage, all in the same story. He said, I'm gone. And, of course, the rest was history with Hunter.
Right.
Came up to join you, and, I mean, everything just started falling together for them again, thank God. But Savage it came in that day, and Savage wanted to beat Hunter in like 30 seconds. I said, that ain't going to happen.
Beat him where? Not in WCW?
He wanted to beat him in center stage.
Oh, really?
In 30 seconds.
30 seconds.
On the way out. And I said, that ain't going to happen. Savage and I had the worst argument of all time. Not that I had anything, but I did. When you like someone's talent, you just don't squash a guy going out the door. I mean,
Right.
And I don't think I don't think you do that to a guy. It's kind of like, and I'll throw another story into it. When I did the favor for Kurt Hennig to go back to WCW, Ole says to me, "What are you worth to me now?" He just did a loser leave town last night on national TV. I said, "Ole, I'm going to show you what I'm worth to you." And I went next door to Bob Dew, and I said, "It's me or him." See, Ole. True story.
Wow.
No, I did. I mean, just because Kenny didn't beat me in 5 seconds. He beat me in a 20-minute match.
It was a great match.
Yeah, it went real well. And we did a thing the week before with Santana. Vince doesn't do stuff like that, right? And so that's when me and Ole really fell apart. And he said, "You're not worth anything to me now."
I mean, Jesus, doing a favor for someone like Kurt Hennig doesn't hurt anybody.
No.
Well, especially with WCW on closing the doors.
Yeah.
They couldn't get anything going. You know what I mean? And then, so anyway, Hunter left, and I had Savage wrestle Arn for 20 minutes. So when it aired, he called me, and Savage goes, "That looked like shit. I blew up." I said, "Buy a Stairmaster," and hung up on him. True story. You know,
So you and Hunter were friendly even back in the WCW days when he was.
that's how
first
he
in?
got into business through me.
Oh, I didn't realize
He
that.
worked at a Gold's Gym in Westchester, Mass. He's from Massachusetts. What the
Right,
main
right.
city?
New Hampshire.
New Hampshire, Westchester, New Hampshire, right? Gold's Gym, and he came down to a Gold's Gym seminar, and that's when I had the 11 clubs in
Right.
North Carolina and South Carolina, and that one I've had in the Caribbean for a while before the hurricane. And he was working at Gold's Gym, and he came down to an ACS seminar, which was American Club Systems. It's a management company. And of course, I came out of the bar entertaining as myself, right, with a balloon or something like that. And
Yeah, of course.
Hunter handed me a tape. I took the tape back, and he was in Atlanta 2 weeks later.
That's cool.
And then the great story when he walked in the door, and Steve, you'd already gone by then, and he walked in the door, and Harley was sitting there. Harley was managing Vader. And it's a great, Harley Race, and you love him like I do, Steve. So I go, Harley, this is Paul Levesque is going to be Triple H, and Harley goes, "Who trained you, kid?" And this is in Hunter's voice, but I always love doing this.
Yeah.
Killer Kowalski. He's the shit. True story.
Did Harley have heat with Kowalski?
He didn't want Harley wasn't afraid to say what he thought. Kowalski wouldn't work. He knew that.
Right.